Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this out there on the World Wide Web. This is Jeremy Geelan for SYS-CON TV. We're here at 8th Cloud Expo, New York. Bill Zack is joining me from Microsoft, Cloud Evangelist extraordinary, and quite a Cloud Expo veteran, really, Bill.
Oh, thank you very much. This is the third Cloud Expo that I've been at.
That's not bad, 3 out of 8.
Right? And I presented the last 2. And there seems to be a bigger crowd this year and a much more enthusiastic crowd than even the year before. So,
well, and we hope more knowledgeable as well as enthusiastic.
Yep, absolutely. You know, on the CTO panel, you had asked us at the end how many more expos you thought you could have.
I did, I asked that.
And people were saying that maybe 10 more, maybe 10 more years. I think, though, with the cloud, we're almost at the tipping point, where you, after a few more years, you might have to, call it something else.
Might have to reinvent the wheel? I think you're right, myself, but I didn't want to interrupt them.
Oh, that's all. That's really what I wanted to say.
I want to get off his chest. So there we are. Bill says that we're on a countdown here. But in all seriousness, we had quite an interesting discussion, didn't we? Perhaps we could share with the audience. So one of the things about these cycles is, of course, they all have their different lengths, and what you're suggesting is this won't be that much different from the regular technology cycles.
Yeah, I think this really is a paradigm shift. You know, we've seen all the generations from mainframe to client server, to mainframe mini computer to client server to multi-tier architectures, and I think the cloud is the cloud is just one more iteration of that. It's the ability to leverage the cloud for business productivity. I think it's incredible.
And, from a Microsoft perspective, Bill, again, from that panel, you were quick to point out that Microsoft is doing many things that people don't seem to know about. They don't seem to know about the open source component. Sometimes they don't understand about the partnership component, how many thousands of companies Microsoft works with. Why don't we speak to that a little in a cloud context?
Sure. Well, as an evangelist, that's my job, is to make people aware of all those things that we're doing. I'm here talking mainly about Windows Azure, which is our private cloud, our public cloud technology. We're also doing a lot on the private cloud side. We have Hyper-V.
People might not be aware of.
Right. We have Hyper-V Cloud, which is based upon a lot of the data center technologies that they already have in place. So it's more a way of managing what you already have in a cloud-like fashion.
And isn't that one of the advantages of Microsoft, that you've always had that knack of working with what there is? It's legacy, but we know how many SMBs, for example, have got it. They're not just going to throw things out the window.
Sure, absolutely. We are the only vendor that has a strong offering in the private cloud space and a strong offering in the public cloud space. So I think we cover the spectrum and give you a great platform to build hybrid clouds, to leverage the cloud where it makes sense and leverage things on-premise where it makes sense.
And from a Microsoft point of view, Bill, because it's absolutely fine to wear your Microsoft hat in this context, is the timescale there any different? Is this for you, whatever we call it, a 10-year play?
I think it's shorter for us. I think, when Steve Ballmer announced that we're all in the cloud a year and a half or so ago, it was a major directional shift for the company, every bit as big as when we discovered the internet. And Bill Gates wrote that famous memo saying, hey company, there's a thing out there called the internet, you ought to take a look at that. So I think we're in the same kind of shift right now.
But all credit to him for saying it, eventually.
Right, yeah. We may not have been the first one into the internet, but we certainly have made a big impression on the internet.
Right, and I'm guessing the same is going to be true of the cloud.
Most likely.
We should be keeping our eye on Microsoft, everyone.
Absolutely.
How about, I know you don't speak for Office 365 and whatever, but in the context of cloud, how big could that get?
Well, it could get really big. I mean, when I said that, we have an on-premise offering and we have a public cloud offering, we also have Office 365, which is a pretty broad offering of some of our existing products offered through the cloud. And that could get really, really big. We don't see this, I guess what I'm trying to say is we don't see this as a zero-sum game. There's a market that's increasing for everybody to be successful in, and we intend to be one of those companies that is successful.
And you've got a pretty good track record, so we can expect that to work.
Right.
Specifically, where could people go online right now? They haven't had the good fortune to hear you speak or see that panel. How can they catch up with Microsoft Azure?
Well, we have a website, windowsazure.com, and it's got tons of case studies and tons of reference material and tons of free development tools that you can download and use. So I would recommend direct them first to windowsazure.com.
Right, that's the place to go. Well, if that is what all the millions and zillions of people watching this interview do, I'd like to think you've got it backed up 17 places, load balanced in the cloud, and you'll survive.
Yeah, we use our own technology. We talk about eating our own dog food. We definitely, in fact, Windows Azure was originally developed to support our internal properties, things like Bing and Hotmail. So we've got a pretty solid backup capability, you know.
We'll put it to the test. Go in the nicest possible way and see what goodies await you there. I hope we're going to see you on the West Coast, Bill, in November. Also Cloud Expo, but this time the 9th.
Hope to be there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for joining us out there on the World Wide Web.